Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to the top 4 from the Kenosha, Wisconsin City Championship. We have Colin P on the left and Jason Klaczynski on the right. Should be a pretty good matchup. We're going to have a Darkrai Terrakion Crushing Hammer deck from Colin. We've actually featured him before in a previous City Championship. He's going to be using the same deck he was using back then, I believe. And Jason will be using a Blastoise Keldeo deck that he was using in the top 8. We saw him use that before, and yeah, this should be a good one. So we're going to see Colin start off by, he's going to attach a Prism to his Sableye. So this is a version that features Prism Energy instead of, most versions run Fighting Energy if they're going to run Terrakion, but he runs Prism. So we're going to see that. You see a Skyla right off the bat. So if there's a computer search in there, I would assume he's going to go for that. And then computer search for whatever he pleases. And then he can just junk hunt for it again. That'd probably be his best bet if it's in there. If it's not, then I guess you just grab a supporter. And you just kind of shake your head. Because computer search here would be the best thing possible. You can get 2 Dark Energy in the discard pile. You get to reuse the computer search after you junk hunt for it. And that would just be a superb start. He probably gets a turn 2 Night Spear if he has a computer search there. But now he has to Skyla for a Juniper instead. And yeah, that's just not pretty. So this is an unfortunate start for Colin. He's going to go ahead and Confuse Ray for 10 damage. And that is it's a much worse turn than what he would have hoped for, I assume. So now it's going to be up to Jason to see what he does. So this is going to be this is kind of a strange matchup. Darkrai decks, they're not bad against Blastoise. They're not great either. You can knock out a Keldeo in 2 hits with Night Spear. So it can honestly come down to, will Jason get a big turn where he gets like 7 energy on a Keldeo EX and then he can Secret Sword for a big knockout? Will Colin get the first attack off? Will Jason get the first attack off? It's kind of weird. It can come down to N. It can come down to all sorts of stuff. So, there's no easy way to tell what's going to happen in this matchup. And we're just going to have to kind of play it by ear. Priority number 1 for Jason has to be to get a second Squirtle down, which he just did. So that's pretty important. And he has that Tropical Beach out there, which is also very, very nice. He's going to be able to just draw until he has 7 cards that'll end his turn. Tropical Beach is incredibly good in this deck because, well, you're not doing anything on your first turn anyway. Might as well just give yourself more cards, and if your opponent doesn't end you, then hey, now you have a full hand of 7 cards. And now Colin's got a Juniper away his hand here. He drew a Charon, which is unfortunate. He didn't want to discard a supporter there, but, he kind of had to. And now we'll see what happens. He's going to play another Crushing Hammer. He got Tails the first time. Got Tails again. That's kind of a bummer. But now we'll see what he decides to do. He's got an Ultra Ball. He's going to discard probably that Max Potion, number 1. And it looks like he's got another Sableye he can discard as well. Not really a great turn for him. It's going to be very scary this next turn. If Jason can pull off a Rare Candy, a Blastoise, and then, get a turn 2 Secret Sword, knocking out this Sableye, it's not going to be fun for Colin. Because he doesn't even have a Dark Patch in his hand. If he did, that would be fine. He could Dark Patch to his Darkrai this turn, attach a Dark to it, and then it'd be just fine. But it doesn't look like he has a Dark Patch, so he's just going to attach a Prism to his Darkrai. Now, it's strange to me that he's attaching a Prism. He's being very loose with these Prisms early on in the game. He's discarded 1, he's put 1 on Sableye, he's put 1 on Darkrai. This makes it so he cannot use Energy Switch to move the Prism off of his Darkrai, which is going to be a big factor. One of the ways he could have maybe dealt with turn 2 Secret Sword was to Energy Switch onto maybe a Terrakion. He would have a Dark Energy sitting around on his Darkrai. He could free retreat to Terrakion, move the energy to it with Energy Switch, and then drop the Prism on Terrakion, and then retaliate for 90. And then maybe get a little lucky, get some Dark Patches, and we'll see. Oh, looks like we have a little bit of a dispute here. Oh, looks like Colin asked Jason if he could just use Tropical Beach instead of junk hunting, and Jason let him take it back. So that was a very nice gesture from Jason. I think Colin realized that Tropical Beach would probably be a much better play. You know, getting your hand up to 7, considering his hand was not that great. I have to agree that Tropical Beach would be better there. But yeah, now we'll see what Jason does. He's got a computer search and he's discarding a rare candy. That means a Blastoise is coming. And that means Colin's probably going to be in a lot of trouble here. So we're going to see what Jason decides to computer search for. He's actually got a Keldeo at the front. I'm not sure why that is. Does he already have the Blastoise in his hand? He might. Kind of weird. So I guess maybe he's got a Bianca and he's just trying to thin his hand down. I'm not too sure what he's doing. But yeah, we're going to see a Blastoise this turn. No doubt about it. Unless all 3 are prized. That would be unfortunate. And alright, we have Rare Candy, Blastoise. Yep, there we go. Yeah, pretty much a picture-perfect start from Jason. He's going to deluge twice onto his Keldeo EX. And he's got a turn 2 Secret Sword. A Bianca for 5. Not too bad. he had a Keldeo EX that he decided not to bench there. It was kind of a strange decision. Not sure why he just didn't bench it and draw the extra card. I'm not sure what he's worried about. He's going to have to bench another one at some point. And alright. Turn 2 Secret Sword from Jason. You cannot ask for anything better. For Colin, you're probably like, now what? And really, now what do you do? It's just not a pretty situation. You have 1 energy on your Darkrai. You cannot Dark Patch to it because it's in the active spot. And it's a Prism energy, so you can't even energy switch it to another Pokemon. So really, there's nothing good going for you. There's just... It's not pretty. That's all I gotta say. So we do see him Skyla for an Ultra Ball. He's going to have to discard 2 cards, and then I guess he's going to grab a Darkrai. So he's going to discard an N and Tool Scrapper. Tool Scrapper is going to be useless in this matchup because Jason does not play tools. And we'll see, does Colin actually have the cards to pull off a Night Spear this turn? He would need a Dark Patch, and then he'd need to energy switch up to the active and then attach. That would be his only way of pulling off a Night Spear this turn. Other than 2 Dark Patches, that would be the way to do it as well. Does he have the cards to do it, though? There's 1 Dark Patch. Just going to play that down. Get the energy. Okay, he does have the energy switch. So we will see a Night Spear this turn. That's a big, big difference. If he did not have the energy to Night Spear, that would have been all the difference in the game. He probably just would have been blown out this game. But now the turn 2 Secret Sword actually doesn't matter that much. Because, you know, even though Jason got the first attack, he got the first knockout, all he did was knock out a Sableye. And he still has to knock out 3 Darkrai's to win. So even though it seemed like, oh wow, Jason's got this perfect start, he's gonna win, it actually ends up not mattering that much. Now we did see Colin actually target down Blastoise with the 30 from Night Spear. I actually would have preferred going for the Mewtwo, just because you're gonna have to Night Spear a lot to win this game. You might as well just soften up Mewtwo, because odds are you're going to put all your 30s on it, and then eventually it'll have 90 on it, and that means all you have to do is catcher it out, and there's 2 prizes for you. The game's pretty much laid out for you. You're gonna Night Spear, attack the Keldeo, you'll knock that out, and then Mewtwo will go up to 60. And basically it just makes it so you have to attack 1 fewer time to win the game. Now the way the math works out, he could still shift strategies now and go for the Mewtwo. And then he basically just has to hit it 3 times with Night Spear for 30. And then it's just a catcher away. He is, right now he is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 attacks away from winning the game with Night Spear. Now Jason, of course, he's going to be trying to get this big one-hit knockout. He's going to be going for the huge, he's actually going to need 8 energy to knock out this Darkrai. That's what he's going to be going for, to kind of shift the tide here. Colin got the first hit on his Keldeo. He got the first EX attack. So if Jason just keeps, trading Secret Swords for Night Spears, he's going to be on the losing end. That's just the way it's going to be. And we do see Jason rush in with another Keldeo. He's going to Secret Sword for 90. But yeah, there has to be something different for Jason to pull off this game. It's got to be just one turn where he gets a bunch of energy on his Keldeo. Otherwise, Colin's going to end up winning this battle. But that's really just all it boils down to. And we do have an N here from Colin. He's going to get 6 cards. This is nice. I'm not sure if he's going to take a knockout this turn. He might not. But if he does, it's a big turn. But yeah, the big thing for Colin is he has to start shifting his strategy with Night Spear. This turn, if he doesn't get a catcher, he can just hit the active for 90 and then the benched Keldeo for 30. Basically, he's going to need some catchers at this point to kind of finish off Jason's Keldeos. Now we do see another energy come down on the Darkrai. It's now prepared him for a Night Spear for next turn, which is very nice. He is just going to catcher up the Keldeo that was already damaged. I'm not sure how much I actually like that. He's also going to retreat. And then just kind of energy switch and kind of leave his other Darkrai back there. I don't know how much I mind that. That's fine. But I'll explain why I don't like knocking out this Keldeo here. Now he just kind of left himself open for Jason to go 7 energy on a Keldeo and knock out his Darkrai. Because if Jason could do that, what is Colin's response then? If he did it if he did it this turn and then it was on a Keldeo that already had 90 damage on it, Colin could just Night Spear again. And then he could just knock it out. And it's not a threat. But if Jason gets a 7 energy Keldeo EX using Secret Sword to knock out a Darkrai in one hit, and it doesn't have much damage on it, and Colin can't knock that out in one hit, that's pretty much game over. So I'm sure that's exactly what Jason's going to be going for here. He's going to be going for, alright, I need to just kind of load it up. Let's go for it. And we'll see what happens. Does he have the cards to do it? He has a Skyla in his hand. I see an energy retrieval. So he might have the cards to do it. It depends on how many water energy are in his discard pile. Let's see. I guess he's going to take a look as well. And if he can pull this off, I got to think Jason is well on his way to victory. Now, if he doesn't, he can just catch up the Darkrai, get a knockout there. And then maybe set up for his next Keldeo to be the big one. But we'll see. He's got a lot of options in his hand. I guess he could always Skyla for energy retrieval, or he could Skyla for a Juniper for next turn, and that looks like what he's going to do. I'm sure if he had the option, there must not be enough energy in his discard pile to use multiple energy retrievals. Because if he had the option to just kind of take the knockout here, I'm sure he would. But if he doesn't, he's just going to, catcher up the bench Darkrai, Secret Sworded for 90. And then take the knockout there. So we do see an energy retrieval. And let's see. Where is he going to put those energy? Looks like he's planning on playing the Pokemon catcher. So the energy is probably going to go on his other Keldeo EX. And then we will see Pokemon catcher to bring up that Darkrai with 90 on it already. And then take the knockout there. Still kind of a rough situation for Jason. He's going to go down to 3 prizes, but he's still not in a comfortable position because Colin could just take 2 more EX knockouts, which is 4 prizes, before Jason can. Now, this is the situation I was outlining earlier, where knocking out the single prize of Sableye really doesn't matter that much. But here we go. Here's the catcher on the Darkrai. Up comes the Keldeo, and we have a Secret Sword for the knockout. And now it's going to be up to Colin to kind of respond. Let's see what he has. Now he's going to need to get an energy in play first of all. He does not have a very good hand. This is actually pretty brutal. If you look at it. He has a computer search finally. He must have got that off his prize. He's going to have to discard a bunch of stuff this turn. So what is he going to do? He's probably going to have to computer search for a Juniper, honestly. He doesn't have any cards to work with, so he needs to grab a supporter. Probably going to be a Juniper, that's his best bet here. And he needs to get a Darkrai down, he needs to get an Energy in play, and maybe even a Dark Patch this turn. He needs a lot of stuff, he needs to keep up with Jason, he needs to just have, an attacker every turn. If he misses a turn of a Night Spearing at any point, he loses the game. That's really just the state of things right now. Now, he's eyeing taking the N instead of Juniper. I understand his thought process, because he knows, alright, if Jason gets 7 energy on a Keldeo, I probably just lose. But at the same time, if you don't get a Darkrai down this turn with an energy, you probably lose too. So it's kind of pick your poison, which is your better option here. And it might be to go for the Juniper, but he's going for the N. He's going to play Crushing Hammer first, just to try to make it less likely for Jason to pull off that big turn. And he goes for the N. So this is kind of a risky decision for Colin, because just look at the way things are. If he doesn't get another Darkrai down, all it takes is, well, Secret Sword twice. Yeah. There's 2 Keldeos already powered up. So all it takes is a couple Secret Swords and the game's over. So Colin needs to get a Darkrai off of this, and an Energy. And he has an Ultra Ball. Let's see what he decides to grab with that. I mean, he's going to have to discard... Pretty much he's going to have to discard his whole hand this turn and leave himself with nothing. And this is just the problem he's left with. But we'll see. Anything can happen. There were a bunch of Junipers left in his deck, so he doesn't have terrible odds of drawing a supporter next turn. We do have the Ultra Ball here. What is he going to go for? Now, I do know Colin plays a Shaman EX in his deck as well. That is the purpose of the Prism Energy. So that's always going to be an option. So he's going to Ultra Ball. But, this is his 4th Prism in his hand, and I don't see the Shaman in his deck. So maybe that's not going to be an option this game. And, yeah, once he puts down that 4th Prism, the Shaman is off the board, I think. I don't think he plays a Grass Energy or anything like that. So, all he's got is Darkrai. And, yep, he's playing his hand down to 0. He's kind of gotten the best situation out of this, because he was still able to get a Darkrai into play, and he was able to end Jason down to 3 cards. Now, the unfortunate part is he left himself with, 4 cards. And he also gave Jason, like, a perfect hand. So, as we're going to see here, Jason will retreat his Keldeo to get 2 water in the discard pile. And he's going to Energy Retrieval to get those 2 back. That's going to give him 5 water on that active Keldeo. And then he has 2 more in his hand, so that's going to make that 7 energy on his Keldeo EX. So we see 4, 5, 6, and 7. And this is the power of Blastoise. You can just kind of start raining down energy. And just like that, there's a Secret Sword for 190 damage. Goodbye, Darkrai. And that's pretty much going to wrap up the first game, I think. There's no way for Colin to come back with this. He doesn't even have a hand right now. Unless he plays Mewtwo, which I didn't see in his deck. He's not going to be able to respond. He's just going to get knocked out next turn. And that will be that. There is no way to come back from this at this point. That Keldeo is just going to keep on rolling, and it's going to knock out 2 Darkrai's, and that is going to be game over. Period. That's all there is to it. We're going to see... Jason has another Energy Retrieval. He's debating playing it, and he does. I guess he's just going to go ahead and... He's going to put it on Mewtwo. Not a bad choice. I think he realizes the same thing. Mewtwo could be the way that Colin wins. He doesn't want to get end and lose that Energy Retrieval. And, yep, Colin just puts down the Sableye and says, alright, it's the game. And Jason Klaczynski will win game number 1. And then we're going to move on to game number 2. So that was kind of a disheartening loss for Colin there. He probably thought he had a good shot at winning that one. But it just kind of fizzled out at the end, and then Jason got that one big turn, and that's all it takes. Just that one turn of a Secret Sword knocking out a Darkrai in one hit, and that's pretty much All there is to it. So going into game 2, Colin's going to be relieved that A gets to go first. He didn't really have a very good start the first game. Jason did. Jason had a perfect start the first game. Turn to Secret Sword, it's perfect. You cannot ask for anything better. And, Colin, he did not get his turn 2 Night Spear. So it's always kind of depressing when you go, really? My deck with all basic Pokemon couldn't get an attack off before your deck with a stage 2 Pokemon? And yeah, that's what happened. But, I mean, that's Pokemon sometimes. You need multiple cards to attack with a Darkrai on turn 2. And Colin was just not fortunate enough to have those cards in the early stages of that game. So really, a lot of it comes down to what happens early on in the game. It can come down to N at the end as well. But a lot of the matchup is going to come down to what happens in the opening, 1 or 2 turns. If Colin can put on pressure early, if Jason can get a Blastoise out early. And there we go, we see a double mulligan here. So both guys are going to shuffle in and draw new hands again. Now, this is a best 2 out of 3 series, of course. That's why we're still playing here. But since Colin lost the first game, he gets to choose who goes first. So he'll choose himself to go first every single time. No disadvantage to going first. I've given this speech many times. It's a complaint many people have with the game right now. There is no disadvantage to going first. It's all just free money. And alright, we got another mulligan from Colin. So it's going to give Jason an extra card this time. But yeah, it's important not to get discouraged in a best 2 out of 3 series when you lose the first game because you're not out of it. Pokemon is a very variance-filled game where anything can happen. You could just get turn 1, you could just draw past the whole game. You could lose a very, very close game and then win 2 very close games. You could get blown out 1 game and then just win 2 very close games. Anything can happen in these best 2 out of 3 series. And, it's just, the main lesson is just don't get discouraged. And alright, so Colin will go first with a Darkrai. He's got a Charin right away. See what he draws off of this. Hopefully some good stuff, because it doesn't look like he has much of anything. He's going to get an Eviolite and a Dark on his Darkrai, and that's pretty much going to be it. He does not have any more supporters in his hand. He does not have anything remotely good. Nothing that's going to help him anytime soon. A lot of tech cards in his hand. And he's just going to have to pass. Now, Jason started with a Mewtwo, which is, it's okay. It's not the best starter in the world. It's not the worst either. And he's going to Ultra Ball. He's going to discard his other Mewtwo because he realizes that it's probably not going to be too useful in this matchup. In general, Mewtwo is not great against Darkrai. It does trade fairly well if you get a couple energy on it. If you get like 3 energy on a Mewtwo, you can start to trade with Darkrai pretty well. But it's not going to be as good as what Keldeo does. So he just decides to discard it. We have an Ultra Ball for a Squirtle. Discarding a Skyla and a Mewtwo. He does have another Skyla in his hand, so I guess that's why he discarded the other Skyla. We'll see what he grabs with this. Probably a Tropical Beach, I would assume. But who knows? He's actually going to grab a Rare Candy. Huh. That's very threatening. When someone does this, they're basically saying, I have a Blastoise next turn. If you can't prevent it, that sucks. For you, not for me. Basically, it's saying, if you don't have an N, or if you don't knock out my Squirtle, you're going to be in a world of pain next turn. And that is exactly what Jason is advertising with that Skyla. And yeah, as you can see, he has Rare Candy, Blastoise, Juniper in his hand. So if Colin doesn't top deck an N, this is like almost game over. Well, not game over, but it's just turn 2 Blastoise. Here we go again. We do see Jason also has a Tool Scrapper. He might play that this turn just to get rid of it. I don't know. But he decides not to. He's going to decide to wait for a turn where he can discard 2 Eviolites maybe, And wait, did Colin actually top deck the end? Wow. Oh wow, that is huge. That's gonna keep Colin in the game. That's an incredible top deck. I mean, it's not like woo, he got super lucky, but that is exactly what he needed. And yeah, Jason just showing he had Rare Candy, Blastoise, Juniper in his hand. So whew, Colin's got to be feeling a bit of relief after drawing that end. He's gonna force Jason to shuffle in his hand and draw 6. Now it doesn't mean that Jason can't just redraw all those cards, but it makes it uncertain. It makes it so, you don't know if Jason's going to draw that stuff again. He discarded a 2 Skylas that turn and an Ultra Ball, and, he used resources basically and got nothing. He got his Squirtle out, that's it. And Colin's going to get a fresh hand of 6 cards. So yeah, this is great for Colin. Best thing he could have hoped for that turn. And now, he's going to be in great shape. So we do see an Ultra Ball. That's also pretty nice. Gonna discard 2 Dark Energy. That is very, very nice. It's gonna fuel his Dark Patches. And I think I saw a Dark Patch in his hand, so he might just grab a Sableye here. Dark Patch to it, retreat, and go ahead with a Junk Hunt this turn. It would be sick if he could pull off a Night Spear and knock out this Squirtle. That would set Jason so far behind. That might be game over if Colin could pull off a Night Spear. But we'll see. He's going for the Sableye, so I'm thinking that means he's just going to go for Junk Hunt this turn. If he has a Dark Patch and an Energy Switch, though, this is going to be huge. So we'll see what he has. There's the Sableye, there's the Dark Patch, and no, he's going to retreat. Alright, so Junk Hunt isn't too bad either. He's just going to grab Dark Patch for sure. And then either Crushing Hammer or Catcher. I guess he's going to go for the Catcher. Knowing that, alright, if Jason doesn't evolve this turn, I can just catch his Squirtle. Alright, so there's the Tool Scrapper that Jason redrew. He's just going to play it this time. See a Tropical Beach come down, and then... Alright, he's got a Juniper, but no Rare Candy Blastoise. So this is the difference. That was what the end did, and oh, we had to discard 2 Rare Candy. So everything going well for Colin right now. Jason decided to attach to his Mewtwo instead of the Squirtle. I think I actually prefer attaching to the Squirtle in that case, because it gives you the option of retreating your Squirtle and then Rare Candying into Blastoise, and then you can power up your Mewtwo with Deluge. Otherwise, you've already used your attachment for the turn. So to attach again to retreat, you need to Rare Candy into Blastoise, which has a gigantic retreat cost. So, minor thing there, but if you don't get the Blastoise, it's better to attach to the Mewtwo. So, that's probably a moot point, but just something I want to bring up. Now, Jason, he's got 3 Squirtles and a Mewtwo, and he's going to Tropical Beach, trying to draw into a Skyla or a Rare Candy for next turn. It's really all he can do. So now Colin, he's got to be feeling great. He's in a wonderful position. He's got a Darkrai powered up. He's got another one on the way. The only thing he doesn't have is a supporter. But he's going to knock out this Squirtle, hit the Mewtwo for 30, and he'll be well on his way to maybe taking this game. Who knows? We'll see if Jason got a Rare Candy off of his Tropical Beach or off his top card. Doesn't look like he did. He's going to bench 2 Keldeos. And is he going to have to Juniper here again and not have a Blastoise? It looks like he has a Bianca. He might need to do that this turn. He's debating. Okay, he's going for the Juniper instead of the Bianca, discarding a Blastoise. So a lot of resources are down. This could be one of those games where, you never get the Rare Candy and the Blastoise in your hand. Those are very painful games, but they do happen. And, if you never get Blastoise out, I don't think you can keep up with a Darkrai deck that's going to Night Spear all the time. However, X-Ball here will be pretty useful. He's going to be able to hit for 80. And that's, this is where Mewtwo can be good in these kind of low energy situations. And that's where the Eviolite was actually huge. The Tool Scrapper on the Eviolite was gigantic. It changes everything from... this would have been much different. This would have been Darkrai only getting hit for 60, and then Mewtwo wouldn't have been able to follow up the next turn. That's the difference here. Now, Colin here decides to go for Squirtle. I don't think I like this play. The reason being, the Mewtwo can now knock him out, and he won't have a follow-up to knock it out next turn. I think it's better to hit the Mewtwo there, set it up to be knocked out next turn. That way, if Jason doesn't get a Blastoise out, you've seen him discard a bunch of rare candies, a Blastoise, all this stuff. So he's only going to be able to attach one energy every turn. So if you just take out the thing that has the energy, you're going to win. And now you have a Mewtwo with 3 energy that you have to deal with. It's kind of a pain. So I don't know. I think I would have preferred just taking out the Mewtwo in this situation. You know, a Squirtle, they're probably not both going to evolve. He's already used 2 rare candies, so that catcher target's always going to be there. That's just always going to be on board. So why not just, you know, take out the Mewtwo, and then eventually you can take your free prize on the Squirtle later. And we do see an N out of Colin. He does have a Darkrai powered up. This is not the end of the world. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like, whoa, he blew the game. No, nothing like that. Just, in general terms of strategy, it might have been better to just go for the Mewtwo there. What he did was not bad by any means. But just giving you another perspective to look at it from. You know, if you can take out the Mewtwo this turn, and all Jason has is like a Keldeo with 1 energy on it, it's a much better situation for you than, you know, getting hit by another X-Ball for 100. That's just not the favorable thing to do. But we do see he's going to catch up a Squirtle again and hit the Mewtwo for 30 with Night Spear. Now he's down to 3 prizes. This is where you kind of need to play a game of math with your prizes. Sure, knocking out a Squirtle is nice. You've knocked out 3 Squirtles. But I think there, catching up Keldeo is probably the better move. You can hit it for 90. Then you hit Mewtwo for 30. And then all you have to do is knock out the Mewtwo, and then knock out the Keldeo, and you win. It's just, it's 2 attacks, you win. Here, you're making yourself attack an extra time. And you might not ever get the knockout on that Squirtle, because it might just evolve to Blastoise. And if it does, then, well, you can't knock it out because it has 140 hit points. So I like hitting Keldeo for 90 instead in that situation. It seems like the much better move. But again, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a close game regardless. Colin does have a computer search. He will be able to knock out this Mewtwo this turn. And this is honestly going to be a close game. You know, I think just because of the catcher decisions Colin has made, it's going to be closer than it probably should be. It's easy to get tunnel vision in these kind of games where you're just like, I need to knock out Squirtle. If I take the Squirtles out, I win. If I take the Squirtles out, I win. But at some point, you can actually shift gears and say, oh, I've knocked out 2 Squirtles. I only need to take 4 prizes to win. I might as well just go after the EXs. And that's just kind of the point we're at. Now we do have Colin going for a computer search. We'll see what he gets. If he has a supporter, he'll probably grab, you know, like a Darkrai to attach to. If he doesn't, he's going to go for probably a Juniper. Computer search is very nice in these kinds of situations. You can just grab whatever you want. He's going to grab a Darkrai, so I assume his other card is a supporter. And, you know, if Colin could just Night Spear every turn, he's well on his way to winning. I believe that. There's no way he's going to lose if he can just Night Spear every turn. He's just kind of too far ahead at this point. It could depend on how many catchers he has left, though. That's something you need to keep in mind. You know, if he doesn't have any catchers left, that could be a big deal. Now, he does have an N, so he's going to shuffle Jason's hand in, and he'll get 4. Colin will draw 3. This is nice to use right before you're going to take, you know, 2 prizes. So he'll get 3 off the end, and then 2 more from his prizes. He'll be left at a 5-card hand after the turn. And really, it's just making things difficult for Jason, who has already discarded a bunch of rare candies. He's already discarded a Blastoise. He's going to be at 4 cards. It's just going to be very difficult for him to actually do anything. And if he doesn't evolve into Blastoise next turn, all it takes is a catcher, and Colin wins. So here we go. We got he puts an Eviolite on his bench Darkrai. Might as well do that in case of N. No use putting it on the active one because it's just going to get knocked out by pretty much any attack at this point. And there we go. We have Night Spear 30 to the bench, Keldeo EX. Now Jason does get a Skyla, so he could get a Blastoise out this turn. The problem is he would have to Skyla for Ultra Ball or Computer Search, and then, you know, it's just not enough cards. He won't be able to Secret Sword this turn, but he will be able to get Blastoise out, and then Tropical Beach. And honestly, it's just going to come down to, will Colin draw a catcher at some point? That's what he's going to need. I don't know how many he's used. He's used at least 2 on some Squirtles. There might be 1 or 2 left. But yeah, it's going to come down to whether or not Colin can, you know, catcher out something for the win. Because otherwise, Jason's just going to rotate between Keldeos, rushing in, back and forth, attacking with fresh ones if he can. So there is an Ultra Ball, discarding 2 water. And here's a Blastoise. So this turn is basically just going to be get Blastoise out, attach an energy, Tropical Beach, draw 7. This is the strength of Tropical Beach. Late in the game, it protects you against N sometimes. It's very, very nice. I mean, you just get to draw up to 7 cards. Sure, you don't get to attack, but that's okay. And Jason's going to debate, do I actually want to put a water somewhere? I think the answer should be yes, because you're probably going to have to attach to one of these Keldeos regardless. And yeah, I mean, might as well just do it this turn. And he's coming to the same conclusion. Draws you an extra card too. So we're going to Tropical Beach for 7. And all of a sudden, this is looking kind of scary for Colin. But again, it's all going to come down to, does he draw a catcher for the win? So you see a Dark Patch onto this bench Darkrai here. He's going to Energy Switch. He's going to move his energy off of Darkrai. I actually probably prefer moving it off of Sableye there, just to make sure you have 2 Darkrai's ready to attack. Now we could see a weird situation where if Colin doesn't have energy, because he did not attach, he did not attach that turn. He just Dark Patched and Energy Switched. We have a very, very weird situation here where if Jason could pull off like an 8 energy Secret Sword this turn, and then Colin doesn't have an energy, he can't win. Wow, this could swing around very quickly. This is very strange. So just like that, you can see how games can just turn around with Blastoise. Just out of nowhere, and oh, look at Jason's hand. Look at all those water energy. There's 5, 6, there's 7. Does he have number 8? He actually needs number 8 to get a knockout here. I see a Computer Search in his hand, so he's going to get 8. Wow, this is such a huge play here. We have a Bianca for 3 as well. Did he get a water off of that? I don't think so. He's actually going to have to Computer Search for a water energy. He's going to discard a Blastoise and a rare candy. He's pretty much just all in on this last Keldeo, which, you know, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. If it gets knocked out, he loses regardless, so here we go. We're going to Computer Search. I guess he's going to grab Energy Retrieval. First he's going to check to make sure he's got a water in there. So yeah, he's just going to grab Energy Retrieval. Wow. This is kind of crazy. Here comes a Keldeo EX with 8 water energy. And all of a sudden, Colin is like on a 1-turn clock to win the game. Does he have the cards? Does he have a catcher? And does he have an energy? You know, that energy switch, that might cost him the game. I think I saw catcher in his hand, you know. If he had an energy to power up his Darkrai, that would be it. So here we go. This is the moment of truth. Does Colin have the game in hand? He's promoting Sableye. And does he have the cards to win? If not, he's going to have to junk hunt and then hope that Jason doesn't have the cards. Well, basically hope that Jason doesn't have a catcher. This is a very intense situation. I cannot believe it's all coming down to this. And you know, if Colin had the cards, I'm sure he would just go Alright, catcher, game over. But I don't think he does. And this makes things so weird. And you got to think that just the door was left open a little bit for Jason to come back. That's all it takes. Just one turn of a Keldeo with 8 energy on it. It's actually got 9 on it if you want to be technical. But this is all it takes. And will this end up being the end of Colin? We'll see what he has. There are a lot of different things you could have to win. And you could have that Shaman EX with a Prism and an Energy Switch. That would be the game. He could have a catcher and an energy, a catcher and a Dark Patch, a catcher and an Energy Switch. All of those win the game. But if he does not have everything this turn, if he does not have the win this turn, he gives Jason that chance to play a catcher and win the game. And that's it. Jason's going to win the series in a bizarre game if he has it. I mean, things could not have gone worse for Jason in these opening turns. Everything just did not go his way. We're going to see Colin Ultra Ball away a Terrakion and a Revive. He's going for Shaman EX, but if you see his hand, he really doesn't have anything. And wow. This is really just all it comes down to. I'm not really sure what else to say. But wow. It just seemed like Colin had this game wrapped up. But, you know, this is why Jason is one of the best, if not the best in the world. He's always going to find a way to make the game close. He's going to find his best options to win the game. And, yeah, Colin's only got 2 cards. There's no 2 cards there, with one being the Shaman, to have him win. What does he do? He's probably just got to use Junk Hunt this turn. Grab, like, a catcher and a computer search. And then say, you know what, if you got it, you got it. If you don't, I'm going to win next turn. There's the computer search he's bringing back. And the catcher. There's a Junk Hunt. Does Jason have a catcher to win? Here we go. There it is. Wow. Jason Klaczynski will take this series 2-0. A very stunning victory, you know. You had to think Colin was going to take that game. He just had that one prize left, and he just could not do it. So very, very well played by Jason. You know, Colin did very well as well. But, you know, maybe a few catcher decisions could have gone differently. Maybe that energy switch at the end. It's hard to tell. It's easy to scrutinize everything. But when you're in the heat of the moment, everything looks differently. So I cannot blame Colin. He took that game down to the wire. It was a heartbreaking loss. You got to think he did get a little unlucky at the end to not just kind of close it out. But that's just how it is. So thank you guys for watching. Jason will move on to the finals. And we'll be back with that match soon. I'm Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.